So here we go. God gave me this to give to you all. And so it's about prophecy. God and the prostitute. God and the prostitute. What do you mean, RevChrisT? Well, I'm going to tell you what I mean. God gave it to me, so I'm going to give it to you. God has ordained for certain events to happen before Jesus' return. And Jesus is about to come back. I know you've heard it time and time again, but the time is now. And it could be in 10 years, it could be in 10 months, it could be in 10 days or 10 minutes from now. But it's happening, and it's happening now, and it's happening soon. Jesus is coming back. The times are right for it, and God's showing through his word being spilled out or poured out to all of the earth that this is what's going on right now. Well, you know about COVID, you know about the rumors of wars, and you got China, you got Russia, you got the European nations, the United States, all vying, right, for power. And that big war in Ukraine, that's a giant sign. So we've got some things happening there. The other thing is that the church is a giant part of all of this. What do you mean? Well, I'll tell you what I mean. The church is now being seduced by the enemy. What are you talking about? Well, I'm glad you mentioned it. There's a lot of things happening within the church and the church body, right, that God isn't happy with at all. And that is basically how the church treats the poor and the needy, right? You know, that's one thing that God doesn't abide by. If you don't treat other human beings the right way, then that creates wrath in God. Okay? And so you've got a lot of churches out there that are getting a lot of money. They're doing a lot of things. They are building storehouses for all of their wonderful treasures and food, which is money and things. Okay? You got churches owning Lear jets and airports, and you got churches owning billions and billions of dollars, right? Preaching out of stadiums and cathedrals and all of this stuff, just opulence. Yet the people starve to death. People are homeless. You know, people are just begging, right? Don't have anything to eat. Don't have any place to lay their head. You know what I mean? People getting kicked out of their houses and stuff like that. That should never be the case. But it is. And it's the case because of the greed and the opulence of the church. The church has several mandates, but one of them is they're obligated to feed and clothe and take care of the poor. Period. But that isn't happening. So now God's going to pass judgment on the church too. That's getting ready to happen. You got pastors lining their pockets with nothing but money and opulence. Right? And it's wrong. Because that money really belongs to the people. You know? That money belongs to the people who tithe. That belongs to the people who don't tithe. That money belongs to members. And the money belongs to non-members. God gave us the church so that the church would be the hands and feet of God on this earth, period, full stop. And so if you're not doing that, you ain't doing nothing. If you're not doing that, you ain't doing nothing. Hands and feet of Jesus. So you a pastor, you an elder, and You know people need to pay their rent and they members of your church, or even if they not, and you know about it and you don't pay people's rent. See, now God's going to cast judgment on you. This is all in the scriptures. It's all in the scriptures. Matter of fact, this right here is in Ezekiel. You can look it up, because that's one of the sins that, quote unquote, the prostitute did against God, is what I literally just told you. Didn't take care of the poor or the needy. It's in the scriptures. It's in the Old Testament in Ezekiel. Go check it out. And so that's one of the sins that God's going to rain his wrath down on earth about that. So the church is a giant part of this whole thing. The Apostle Paul calls it the falling away. The falling away. If you read in other gospels and other literature in the New Testament, in the Bible will speak to this, but the Bible talks about this falling away with regard to the church, because the letters are to the church, not to anybody else. And it's talking about, the apostles are talking about, or Paul in particular is writing about the church falling away and worshiping other gods. And what are you talking about? Church ain't worshiping other gods. Yes, they are. Money is the other god. Money, wealth, opulence. Just like I mentioned about Ezekiel. These sins of the prostitute or of Sodom are listed in Ezekiel. And it talks about it specifically, right? These are the sins, and this is why I'm going to do this to you, says God. And it's literally written out, spelled out perfectly. So consider all of that, church family, because Satan is real, and there's a lot to this, and there's the influence of Edom, the Edomites, the sons of Ham, the Amorites, the Hittites, the Canaanites, and everything. So it's all there. Check your Bibles. God bless you. Love you. Be on the right side of this thing. Jesus is coming back any minute, any day now. Don't want y'all to get left behind. God bless you.